What's up, everyone? I am struggling mightily to keep this thing recording, but anyhow. Page 4 of the Dino-Sorcerors. The page is done. My pages are starting to look kind of polished lately. I've been looking at this one. And yeah, there's definitely a learning curve that I'm getting over towards the middle of somehow. What this is missing is color. It has tones. Look at my subtle toning work here. Or this nice toned burst here. And I even did a gradient here. A tone gradient. I've often said that I hate digital gradients. I think they look cheap. But I do like tone gradients because they look cheap. They look sort of retro to me. Alright, well, anyways. Does that sound self-contradictory? I don't know what to tell you. Alright. So we're going to do some coloring here. And I want to go over a little bit about how I do it. You can see I've got all my layer stuff. Like, if it's got the letter here, that's just a text box. There's the bubbles layer. You can see that's what that does. There's a layer for tones, a layer for ink, and then I actually have a special layer for this burst of tones and focus lines. It got its own layer. Everything else, this is the pencils layer, it's turned off. And there's a layer for the boxes on the panels, which I don't have to have that, but I like to have that just in case I do some erasing. I won't hurt the box, and I won't have to redraw it. It's just a time-saving thing. So I have a single layer for color. There it is, with it set to multiply. And what multiply does is it lets you... anything you color won't affect the line work at all, right? So you can see that. And then the other trick is if you saw my... how to get a palette off of an existing image. This is the palette that I pulled off of that Hulk comic book cover, and I've been using it for the whole comic. And it gives it a unified look. So every page, starting with this one, is going to have a strong sense of cohesion page to page. The colors are going to work. It also takes out a lot of the guesswork for things like, what should I color? You know, this character, or what should I color? You know, which color should I choose? If you have a plan in place, you never have to think about it too hard. You just go. You know, so for example, these cockroach monsters, these beetle monsters, there's some shade of brown, and I like to actually use, I have 3 shades of brown. I like to use all 3, so I'll make the lead one the darkest brown, and then I'll make one more of a yellowy brown that I've got in there. And I think I have one that's more orange brown, but I'll use this brown, and this brown. And then I'll highlight them all in yellow. But it takes a lot of the guesswork out. When you're coloring, which brush should you use? I like to use the syrup brush, because you can flood fill with it, and it's not aliased, which means you won't get a little annoying row of white pixels around it if you use that one. So a good choice all around. For everything else, it's kind of like, I recommend you sort of just choose a standard and stick with it. So for example, like Spider-Man always has red and blue, right? Spider-Man's costume doesn't change from panel to panel. So choose the exact shade of red that you're going to use and the exact shade of blue, and just stick with it and you'll be okay. So there's Cockroach Monster number 1, flat color. Let's use the next color, which is going to be this other brown color. I'm going to just drop it right in. Oh, hey now. Oh, I see why it didn't, because that black area is actually not colored in. I'm looking at this. You know what? I don't think it's there. That line might be an error. A line in error. Well, I can fix that later. Oh, and I messed up this claw over here, so I'm going to have to fix that claw too. Anyhow, this is the general order of operations as I understand it is you're going to drop your basic colors in, and I've seen some people do it different ways. Like they might have some people that'll just drop random colors in, and then they're going to very carefully choose, you know, how to texture and grade those colors. This is a retro comic, which is all I do, so I will not be doing that. I will instead just be choosing the colors that I've already picked out. There we go, no problem. Now let's fix this one claw up here. By the way, the new schedule has posted for Q*bert School Online. If you just Google Q*bert School Online, you will see the classes. There's 4 of them right now. There might be more later, but it is the summer session, so a lot of the teachers choose to do other things during the summer. But I am signed up for sequential art, so if you want to be in a class with me, that's the class that I will be in, along with a lot of the other people that I met in previous classes. We're all taking it together again. Oh, I see. I could actually do this here and then this here. And that looks like it matches him. I was going to give him kind of a pink tongue looking thing. Alright, so that's 2 shades of brown. Let's get the 3rd shade of brown, which is this lighter shade of brown. And then we can just drop it in. Oops, didn't work again. That must be there. Try one more time. There it goes. And that's what I mean by there's no white pixels. Like when it drops in, you'll often get a little anti-aliased area where it's like a pixel took on a half value or something like that. And if you're doing this correctly and you're using the right kind of brush, and in this case the syrup brush, you should not have that problem. And in fact, you should be able to just outline the outlines and then just drop your color right in. And it should just flood fill the entire picture. Oh, so anyways. Here's where I get fooled, is if I have a large black area like this, I'll think that I've already colored it, but I haven't. So in this case, I think I've done it. There we go, yep, that worked out fine. Oh look, and I made the same mistake I made on the other side with this is the claw belonging to the other. This claw belongs with this guy. And that's one thing that color can really help you with, because if we left it all black and white, it could end up looking confusing, but it's easy to say, okay, this red, dark reddish brown goes with this dark reddish figure, so I'm not confused on the composition, or I'm less confused on the composition. And yes, he does have, they all have 4 arms, that's why they look like they do. Okay. Okay, we gotta get this law. And that is looking pretty good. Alright, and then finally, all the antennae have these little deedle boppers on the ends. Alright. The gun is one of the dark gray colors. I'm going to use this. Let's use this gray. And I think I can actually just drop it in. Oh, almost. Now I can. So there's the gun. How about this landscape area? I could probably use just about any neutral color. I think we're going to use the same gray, because you can see I've used it here, and it would totally work. So let's drop in our grays. And if we did this right, we should be able to just drop. Yeah, that worked. How about over here? Easy peasy, right? We are going to have to come up with a background or a sky color. And I have a couple of options for it. But in general, I think we want to go with maybe a something that contrasts. We could go with that light blue color, maybe. I don't know, we'll think about it. This might cause some confusion. The gun and the background are the same. Well, we can fix that. I can fix that in the shading layer. Right. Pretty quick. Okay, how about the pink? We're going to use the pink right here. And then we've got the sky color. Okay, we could go with the darkest blue, or we could go with a mid blue. Another option that we have is a Gaussian blue, Gaussian blur rather. And I'll show you what it looks like. This gray that's around here is the Gaussian blur style. I used it a little bit on this blue here. And in fact, it might be the way to go. I'm looking at my coloring and I'm thinking, oh, I'll let some of it go out of hand. Now, if you do choose to do something like this, there's only one issue. And that is, you're going to get color mixing unless you put it on its own layer. So we're going to add one more layer. I'm looking at this and I said, oh, that's a little messy with it. Okay. But I think we can do it. Alright, before I do, this is bothering me, this little piece that got up above the line there. Okay. Yeah, let's do it in gray. We're going to use this gray, the light gray. And you know what? I'm not even going to do the Gaussian. I think we're just going to throw it in. We're going to use color dropper style. And just flat it right in there. And I think we can get away with, let's see if we can. We cannot. Now let's try it again. We cannot. We gotta figure out where the hole is. Where is the color flooding in to other places from? There it goes. Alright, how about here? Yes. And here. Easy enough, right? Alright, now I've got to clean it up a bit. I was a little messy here. And then the final area is this area right here above the line. I'm really excited to be sharing this in the Zomic book anthology. It won't be published anywhere else commercially unless I do it myself. So I would like to thank them for including it in their book. Okay, that is a flatted panel right there. No problem. Now, real quick, I'm going to show you the, and I've done this before, how to do the cell shading layer. Shading. We use the purple, the darkest color on there. We change it to multiply, and then we change the quantity down to anywhere under 30, or anywhere under 40. 38 is fine. And then we're looking for anywhere to drop this purple to make it even shadier. Now the less opacity, the less you reduce the opacity, the darker this purple shade is. But if you just, like the way I have it, I think 30% is almost too light. It's giving you a very subtle shading. And if we do shading, we also probably want to do highlighting, or at least in this case we definitely do. And that's how we change this gray, by the way. The closer the objects are to the viewer, the darker we want to make them, and then the further out, the more pale and washed out we want to make them. That's the ticket. Alright, let's take a look at this guy. We're going to put the tongue in shadow. There we go. Now how about this guy? You can use the shading. So this is how shading can be used to emphasize the volume. We know that this is a rounded sort of carapace armor, so we're going to put a little bit of curve in our shading. And we can even create volume that isn't really there. Like we can say, let's say we want to say that this goes like that. You know, put in, it's like you're implying, with the shading, you're implying volume that may not actually be in the inkwork at all. So you can use this to achieve all kinds of interesting effects. Now in this case, I don't like that shade there because that's not where the shading would be. The light is on his back, so his shading is on the front. And I've already sort of implied that with my tones too. Okay, now once we've done all that, and I know we're getting right at the 21-minute mark, I'm going to grab this yellow, actually this yellow. We're going to go back to the color line, and we're going to do some highlights. And I'm thinning out my brush a little bit. This is where the light hits them. And for these roach guys, I started out thinking this was just implied light. It might be part of their beetle carapace too. It might be some kind of color that's built in. So you put a little light of yellow on there. Some people like to use white. White works in certain cases, and sometimes it doesn't work right. Like if you have, it depends. I think a hot color like yellow can work as well. But white might be able to work. In this case, the color is so dark that the yellow works really well. It provides a nice contrast. I remember when I was a kid, I would get those like plastic dinosaurs and stuff, and I would look at how they painted them. And they didn't paint them, I mean they're mass produced, so they would just have sort of like a key color and then just a swash of some other color. And I was always very curious how they came up with, like, how did they decide which color they can use to do the highlight. Take a look at a toy plastic dinosaur sometime. And it's very clever how they figured out sort of a minimal way to detail them out. How about this guy? He gets a little yellow line. You could even do a little bit on the gun, just a little tiny bit. Not a whole lot. Alright, that's a panel. I know it took a little bit longer. I had planned on doing all these videos under 20 minutes, and I am not getting a lot of them done, but that's pretty much how I'm going to be coloring this whole comic. Please like, follow, and subscribe. There'll be, oh no! There'll be more comics every day. Almost moved my color layer. I've still got 4 more panels to go. And I will show you through all of them. Alright, talk to you later. Bye.